Montel Alexander Bowman. Remember that name. It's a name attached to a story that sounds like it's ripped straight from science fiction, but Bowman insists it's his reality. We don't know all the details of his life, but we know this. He claims his existence is a non-stop technological invasion. Think Black Mirror, but instead of an episode, it's his life, 24/7. Bowman says this intrusion has been going on for 40 years. Let that sink in for a second. 4 decades of someone allegedly being able to tap into his thoughts, his feelings, his very being. He says it's not just him either. He claims technology is being used to gauge the reactions of millions of Americans to his experiences. It's a level of surveillance that would make Orwell blush. Now, I know what you're thinking. Trevor, this sounds a little out there, and you're right, it does. But here's the thing. Even if Bowman's claims seem extraordinary, they force us to confront a very real and growing concern: the erosion of privacy in the digital age. Whether or not Bowman's story is true, it serves as a stark warning about the potential for technology to be used for deeply invasive and harmful purposes. This isn't some abstract futuristic concern. This is about the here and now. Technology is advancing at an unprecedented rate, and our laws, our ethics, our very understanding of what it means to be human are struggling to keep up. Bowman's case, regardless of its veracity, throws these issues into sharp relief. So, what exactly is Bowman alleging? He claims that for decades technology has been used to infiltrate his very being. We're not just talking about someone reading his emails or tracking his location. Bowman says this goes way deeper. He claims people are able to access his thoughts, his emotions, even his visual perceptions. Imagine for a moment that someone could see what you see, feel what you feel, all without your consent. That's the reality Bowman says he's living in. He describes a constant barrage of external stimuli, of feeling others' emotions as if they were his own, of his body being manipulated by unseen forces. It's a violation not just of his privacy, but of his very sense of self. Imagine being bombarded by the thoughts and feelings of strangers, unable to distinguish your own internal world from this external cacophony. It's a level of psychological intrusion that's difficult to even comprehend. But Bowman's allegations go beyond just his own personal experience. He claims that this technology is being used on a mass scale, that millions of Americans are being monitored, their reactions to him and his experiences being analyzed and exploited. It's a chilling thought, the idea that our innermost thoughts and feelings could be accessed and manipulated without our knowledge or consent. Now, it's important to note that, as of now, there's no independent verification of Bowman's claims. But the technology he describes, while seemingly ripped from the pages of science fiction, isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. Advances in neuroscience, artificial intelligence, and surveillance technology are rapidly blurring the lines between the physical and digital realms, making the possibility of such invasive technologies increasingly plausible. And that's what makes Bowman's story so unsettling. Even if his specific claims haven't been corroborated, they force us to confront the uncomfortable truth that the technology to violate our minds is closer than we might think. Let's dive a little deeper into the specifics of Bowman's claims, because they get pretty wild, folks. We're talking about technology that allegedly allows for a level of connection that would make Professor X jealous. Bowman says this isn't just about surveillance, it's about control. He claims that individuals and even organizations are able to use this technology to essentially puppeteer others. Imagine someone being able to plant thoughts in your head, manipulate your emotions, even control your actions. It sounds like the plot of a dystopian thriller, but these are the allegations Bowman is making. He describes being able to hear others' thoughts, see through their eyes, even communicate with them mentally. It's a level of technological intimacy that's both fascinating and terrifying. On the one hand, imagine the possibilities if we could truly connect with one another on such a deep level. Empathy, understanding, even love could take on entirely new dimensions. But the potential for abuse is equally staggering. Imagine the power someone would wield if they could control your thoughts, your feelings, your very actions. It's a sobering thought, to say the least. And it's not just about individuals either. Bowman alleges that organizations, including law enforcement agencies, are using this technology for their own purposes. Imagine a world where the police can literally see what you're thinking, where your innermost thoughts are no longer your own. It's a chilling thought, and it raises serious questions about the future of privacy and freedom in a world increasingly dominated by technology. Now, I know what you're thinking. Trevor, this is getting a little too X-Men for me, and I hear you. But the truth is, the line between science fiction and reality is becoming increasingly blurred. Advances in brain-computer interfaces, for example, are already allowing paralyzed individuals to control prosthetic limbs with their thoughts. If we can already do that, how much of a leap is it to imagine technology that could allow us to access the thoughts and feelings of others? Here's where things get really complicated. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that even a fraction of what Bowman is alleging is true. How do you even begin to address that legally? Our laws were written for a world where the mind was considered an impenetrable fortress. The Fourth Amendment protects us from unreasonable searches and seizures, but what happens when the thing being searched and seized is your very consciousness? The legal system, both here in the US and around the world, is grappling with these questions right now. We have laws against hacking into computers, but what about hacking into minds? We have laws against wiretapping phones, but what about tapping into someone's neural impulses? These are uncharted waters, and the law, as it often does, is struggling to keep up with the rapid pace of technological advancement. Bowman himself is vague on the specifics of which laws he believes have been broken, but his case touches on a whole host of legal areas. Privacy, surveillance, bodily autonomy, the list goes on. He's demanding financial compensation, but more importantly, he's demanding recognition. He wants the government to acknowledge the existence of this technology and the harm it's allegedly causing. But how do you prove something like that in a court of law? How do you present evidence of thoughts being stolen, of emotions being manipulated? It's a legal nightmare, and it highlights the urgent need for new legal frameworks that can address the unique challenges posed by these emerging technologies. We're talking about fundamental questions of human rights here. If our thoughts are no longer our own, if our very minds can be invaded and manipulated, what does that mean for our freedom, our autonomy, our very humanity? These are questions that we as a society need to be asking ourselves right now, before it's too late. As the investigation deepens, accusations of complicity and abuse begin to emerge. Authorities are now questioning whether certain individuals knowingly participated in or turned a blind eye to these violations. The implications are serious, potentially leading to severe legal consequences. It's a complex web, and unraveling it will take time and meticulous effort. The public watches closely, demanding accountability and justice. In today's interconnected world, the concept of human rights has evolved. We're not just talking about freedom of speech or the right to privacy anymore. Digital rights are now a critical part of our everyday lives. From access to information to the protection of our personal data, these rights shape how we interact with technology and each other. It's essential that we understand and advocate for these rights to ensure a fair and just digital society. Surveillance has become a pervasive part of our modern lives. Governments and corporations alike have the capability to monitor our every move. This constant watchfulness can lead to a chilling effect, where individuals feel they must censor themselves to avoid scrutiny. The victims of surveillance are often those who are already marginalized, making it a tool that can perpetuate inequality and injustice. It's crucial to recognize and address the impact of surveillance on our freedoms and human dignity. Privacy is more than just a personal preference. It's a cornerstone of our autonomy and freedom. Without privacy, our ability to make independent decisions and express ourselves freely is compromised. As technology continues to advance, the lines between public and private life blur, raising important questions about our future. How do we balance innovation with the need to protect our personal space? The answer to this question will shape the future of freedom in our society. In an age where information is abundant and easily accessible, protecting our minds has never been more important. We're constantly bombarded with data, opinions, and propaganda, making it challenging to discern truth from misinformation. It's vital to cultivate critical thinking and digital literacy to navigate this complex landscape. By doing so, we can safeguard our mental autonomy and ensure that our thoughts and beliefs remain our own.